Hey, what you doing? You all right?
Yeah. But it was impressive.
Okay, Dan, you ready? All right. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Highwood's regular city council meeting. It is Tuesday, August 5th. It's roughly 7:50 in the evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Grice.
Here.
Fauber.
Here.
Fetterman.
Here.
Fiore. Levy.
Here.
Lenari.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Slavin.
Here.
If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of
Sorry about
Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, that was uncomfortable.
Don't move, let Louise start.
Yeah, Louise is the starter.
No, I was.
Tradition, man, don't mess with
And when
tradition.
Louise isn't here, we sort of just go,
Yeah, it was a little weird last week. Last time.
minutes before us, we have four.
Just wrote me.
We have 3.1, which is the regular city council minutes from May 6th. And then we have 3.2, which is the regular city council minutes from May 20th, as well as 3.3 and 3.4, which are from the July 15th, both the regular city council and the committee of whole. Let's start with the first one, 3.1. If I get a motion to approve the May 6th city council minutes, please.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 3.2, regular city council minutes for May 20th, corrected. Get a motion for that, please.
So moved.
Second. Alderman Fetterman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 3.3, regular city council minutes for July 15th.
You're in the wrong.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Alderman Lenari, second.
Yes.
Will you say your first name?
I did. Barely.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was really resounding. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then finally, 3.4, committee of the whole for July 15th.
So moved.
Motion, Alderman Fetterman was a second again. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. No appointments this evening. We do have the warrant list dated 8/5/2014. We did go through that in pre-session. I don't believe we had any changes to that. So if I get a motion to approve the warrant list.
So move.
Second.
Motion, second, roll call, please.
Alderman Lenari.
Yes.
Levy.
Yes.
Fiore. Oh, he's still not here. Fetterman.
Yes.
Fallberg.
Yes.
Grice.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Slavin.
Yes. At least he doesn't sit next to you.
Yes.
5.1, the Ferguson Waterworks bill, pay request number 4 for $5,538.20. If I get a motion for that, please.
I'll make that motion, and this is the last, is this?
No, we have-
How many more?
Well, I'm not sure how many more, but about $20,000 worth.
Is still remaining on this project.
And please note, this is paid for by the load that was taken out, so this will not be coming out of our operating expense.
I'll make the motion. You go ahead.
Motion, second, roll call, please.
Alderman Grice.
Yes.
Fallberg.
Yes.
Fetterman.
Yes.
Levy.
Yes.
Lenari.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Slavin.
Yes.
Last bill to be approved, 5.2, which is the Granger bills. Motion for that, please.
Second. I seconded.
For the Granger bill. So moved.
Yes.
Have any?
Hold on one second, sorry. Alderman Levy just firsted it?
You should see, what
Alderman Nari, second?
are we doing?
Granger bills.
Granger bill.
Well, how come I did two?
We have any?
Okay, we'll do Granger down here. Okay.
All right. Alderman Levy was the first, and then Alderman Lenari was second.
It's WW.
And then roll call, please.
Okay. Alderman Lenari.
Yes.
Levy.
Yes.
Fetterman.
Yes.
Fallberg.
Yes.
Grice.
I'm going to abstain. This is my favorite part, because I work at Granger.
Peterson.
Yes.
Slavin.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is public input. Anyone wishing to address the city council at this time for items not on the agenda? We have no one at this time. Mayor's report. I do have a couple things real quickly. Thank you, Candy. Unfortunately, the city lost a lifetime resident, I guess I should say, in Bruno Giangiorgi. And I have a reading from it from Mr. Bertucci, which he passed forward to us. Mr. Giangiorgi, age 94, was a proud lifetime Highwood resident, passed away Friday, August 1st, 2014, at the healthcare center here in Highwood. He was born June 28th, 1920, to the union of I'm just going to ruin these names, Gustavo and Adele Preti Giangiorgi. He attended Oak Terrace School in Highwood, and being a very athletic young man, he played semi-pro football with the Highland Park Young Men's Club. On July 27th, 1940, he married Jeannie Marie Corso. He served in the U.S. Army during World War II and in the South Pacific. He was a former fire chief of the Highwood Volunteer Fire Department. Bruno was very community-oriented. He served as an alderman in the city of Highwood and was a volunteer at St. James Church and at the nursing home for many years. He was a member of the St. James Church in Highwood and the Highwood American Legion Post number 501, where he was the manager of the American Legion baseball team as well. He was survived by his two sons, Bruce Giangiorgi as well as Dennis Giangiorgi, and he has 4 grandchildren. He was the one that always overspoke everybody, wasn't he?
Yes, that he was.
He will be sorely missed. A couple of great stories that I was just telling Alderman Linelli is when I would go around in meeting everybody, he pulled me in and he had mentioned that he was born in the house he lived in. He was born on dirt floors, one of the first areas in the Highwood Hospital, he said he was taken to. So, long time, 94 years here in town. Okay, well, he would be missed. Also, for this evening's meeting, this will be our city manager's last meeting. He will be leaving us next Friday. I wish him all the best, as I think we mentioned last meeting, but last one.
Well, once again, I want to thank the city council.
Okay, that's good. Let's move on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just thank you very much for the opportunity to serve. And as I mentioned to the mayor several times, I picked the absolute worst time to leave Highwood because there's so many great things on the horizon. And, I know my successors are certainly going to have a lot of fun, just helping to see Highwood, take its next great step. And I'm going to miss it. But I wish you all the best. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. It's a pleasure to serve for the Highwood City Council and with Mayor Picaro and to work with the wonderful staff. So I appreciate the great memories and the great opportunity.
You'll be missed. Thank you, Scott. Committee reports. Anything? I know you have a meeting coming up.
Yeah, we're going to, for long-term planning, I wasn't at the last long-term planning, so I don't know if you want to give an update on anything there, but we're going to schedule one with it probably in the next week to look further and talk more about the 2015 capital improvement plan. So there should be a date set up on the website shortly, the next few days, for us to meet again and discuss that.
We were also taking a lot of look into parking shortfall and also redevelopment downtown, working with the TOD.
Right. And I will mention that if anyone's interested in attending this meeting, we do have quite a few streets which we had a long discussion on in pre-session that we are looking at, and the dollar amount and how it's going to impact all of us here in the city of Highwood. So I would strongly recommend, if you have an interest, we are looking at raising around $4 million, which will be issuing debt, some at IPA loans at a lower rate of about 2-ish%, others at the going rate, probably closer to 4%, I would have to imagine at this, well, maybe dropping, right around 4%. So we're going to impact both in a couple ways. One is through water bill, and the other will be through property taxes. So if you have an interest in that, how that is going to affect you, because it's going to affect all of us, this would be the opportunity to come to a long-term planning meeting and just see the number of time, hours, and meetings they've had just to pick these several streets. And how, they've done a great job, but it is going to impact all of us. It's either going to impact us now or really impact us in the future. So when's your next meeting? It's next.
We haven't set that. It'll be with probably
Posted?
in the next week or so, because
Okay.
we're going to want to meet before our next council meeting.
The 19th.
So we'll chat afterwards and get something.
Okay. Adrian, could we get that on the website too? Is the meeting on the website or not really? Well, obviously not yet, but the agenda will be. Okay.
Charlie, could you mention the Todd committee meeting next week?
Excellent.
Public hearing?
Probably, is that what you're pointing to when I quickly ran over something? Mr. Harmon, tell us about your project that you've been working on here and how it's going to help us and when it is.
Well, on August 13th, the Planning Commission of the City of Highwood is going to hold a public hearing regarding the transit-oriented design plan. This is a plan that focuses primarily in the downtown Highwood area and identifies opportunities for future redevelopment, and also provides a series of recommendations on redevelopment opportunities, on policies, and recommendations on how to create more of a transit-oriented downtown, utilizing strategic assets such as our centrally located metro station and our walkable community. The public hearing will start at 6, but at 5 o'clock on August 13th, which is Wednesday, there will be an opportunity to talk with the consultants, more of a public forum, and to kind of review the plan. At 6 o'clock, the hearing will begin. Public comment is encouraged and welcomed. We'd like to know what your thoughts are. The culmination of this public hearing will be a recommendation from the Plan Commission to the City Council to whether or not they should adopt this plan, and its adoption will become an amendment to our comprehensive plan. So we would hope that the public can take a chance to review the plan, which we'll have a link to on the website. Review the plan, attend the public hearing, let us know your thoughts, and I think it's, as I mentioned, about the exciting opportunities for Highwood coming down the line. This is, I think, one of the first steps to Highwood's vision and next future.
So that's a structure for any development coming forward. Thank you, and that's the 13th?
Wednesday, August 13th, beginning at 5 o'clock here at the City Hall in the council chambers.
All right. Treasurer's report for the month of June. I like that name, Treasurer's report.
Sorry for the delay. We had the audit, and it kind of tied me up a little bit. And of course, June is probably the biggest credit card month. In the general fund alone, we had $30-some thousand worth of credit cards taken in because of the vehicle licenses. So it becomes very difficult to reconcile that account because we have to tie out basically almost every single credit card transaction that we process because of the way it posts. So I apologize for the delay in getting you June. It's early in the fiscal year. Your budget's in there. You can kind of see where we're at. We're getting our property taxes in, and we're doing rather well. We did get notice of a couple things, just so you're aware of it. I gather there was a mistake made at the state level, what revenues get taxed for the 5% telecommunication tax. And so this is a statewide problem. This isn't just Highwood, so don't think it's just they're picking on us. They're not. It's a statewide problem. And so basically, when they went back and recalculated, we owe $12,000 back. They're going to take it out of our next 8 payments starting in August. So, yeah, we're going to lose $12,000 in revenue. Great, just what we needed to hear. Other than that, we're doing all right. We're doing a lot of stuff to work towards things like collection things. So our fire alarms, we've been working with the fire alarm billing company to make sure they're billing everybody because it came to our attention that they did not bill. So we kind of got on them and said, hey, this is ridiculous, bill. And so they did, and we got a big check. We did hear that one of our cell towers is pulling out. So that's going to hurt us financially. So we talked about being $250,000 short in 5 years. Well, take another $40,000 out of that. And so we're now going to be about $300,000 short. And since we're going to make this the bearer of bad news, TIF revenues. We projected for something. We got the numbers from the county at $395. So we've lost another $50,000 to $60,000 out of the TIF. However, and there is something happening in Lake County that I want you guys to be aware of. I was contacted by John Kinseth. You all know John, used to work here. For those who are new on the board, John was an assistant to the city manager. He now is the manager in Beach Park. It came to his finance director's attention that the county may not be calculating the EAVs and the TIF correctly. Lake County may not. And what they're doing, and we can't quite seem to get an understanding of what the actual law is in regards to the calculation. Take, for example, I own a piece of property across the street, and it's in the TIF, and when we did the creation of the TIF, it was worth $100,000. It went up in value to $150,000, and now we had the drop in the market in 2008, now it's only worth $75,000. Well, according to one interpretation of state law, when they create the TIF EAV value, it's not supposed to drop below $100,000, so that the TIF doesn't absorb the losses in the EAV. Lake County has gone in and actually, as long as your total EAV of the TIF hasn't dropped below its starting point, they will take individual properties and drop them below what their original assessed valuation was within the TIF. We have not involved our attorney in this yet because we didn't want to incur the costs. But instead, I'm trying to work with Waukegan, who has a TIF attorney on staff, kind of. So they're trying to evaluate it for us. Lake County has done the calculation, and they do know who has, and I haven't contacted them yet, but they do know who has lost the most money. And Waukegan, North Chicago, basically, they've come to the conclusion that this whole corridor here is one that has affected the worst. Since I've been here in 3 years, we've dropped from over 550 to 395. So, we just signed an agreement to give, $500,000 to somebody, and we have the debt service we still have to pay. So, right now, unless Lake County changes their mind and says we're going to calculate it differently, unless, and I haven't done the calculation on ours, but I just want you to know that there is something out there that might bring more money into the TIF, okay? But we don't know what it is yet. Lake County has given John and his attorney have met with Lake County, and they've given him the impression that they might correct it going forward, they might change it going forward, but they're not going to go back and adjust going back. Because if you think about it, if they adjusted it going back, then the school districts and the park districts and the county and the library districts would then be given the money to the cities. And asking school districts to give away that money, they've been doing it for several years from what I've been told. It's when the change in assessor took place, which I don't know when that was. So I wanted you to know that that is a situation that we're monitoring right now, and we're trying to keep the cost down from our perspective by not involving our attorney, if we can. But we may have to bring our attorney into it if we feel that it's to our benefit in the future. There is one other policy statement that we need clarification on. Mr. Hartman and I are remembering what happened in a board meeting differently, and it has to do with how raises were going to be allocated this year. And we know that it's a cost of living plus a merit increase. We weren't given a clear direction on cost of living, so Scott and I agree that cost of living should be the non-home rule community tax limitation from last year, which was 1.7. But the question comes into play is, what's this merit increase? How is the merit increase determined, and is there a cap? And I seem to recall, we put in the budget for employees to get a 3% raise. And my recollection of the conversation was that that was the cap. Mr. Hartman's just does not recollect that. And so, before we go in and grant people greater than 3% raises, I want to make sure that we're okay, because we didn't budget for it. And so, that's, the question comes into play is there a bucket of money that gets divided up between employees, and as long as in total, we don't use up that whole bucket? Or is there a limitation per employee to 3% tops? And so we're asking for clarification.
It was cold.
I understood and supported, thought I was supporting a 3% total increase, retroactive, but a maximum of 3% retroactive to the beginning of the fiscal year. Whether or not that
With the exception of an employee that received a substantial raise, we agreed to wait for a full year until.
And we had kicked around a lot of ideas where,
inclusive, yeah.
It was a
So-
max out.
So if it's 1.7, then 1.3 would be the
Right.
conceivable max above that. That's what I understood.
I don't know. I thought we had given we were going to give latitude upon merit, but that's not going to happen because we're not prepared for that, because you don't have job descriptions to base everything on.
That's why.
Where we could go higher, but we're not, no, there's no way we can do that right now. We're not ready for that.
Under the principles of a merit system, you would have a bucket, an aggregate total amount would be spent on
3%
salary.
across every employee, and if one deserved 2, one could get 4.
Right, but however the city council wants to administer it this year, that's fine. If you want to do a COLA plus what merit up to a maximum cap, that's fine, we just need that direction.
I don't have a problem with the bucket either.
I'm sorry?
I don't have a problem with that as
But it
well.
wasn't everybody who was maxing out at 3.
No.
It was not
What
every-
you're saying, what Eric's saying is you could allocate somebody that maybe only get COLA and 0 for merit. Somebody else may be eligible for.
Exceed the 3%.
Exceed the 3.
No, I understood the concept that was
Okay.
explained. That wasn't what we agreed to.
No, but I
It would be fine either way.
Is that-
I just want to stick with what we agreed to rather than change, so if that's what we.
I think the problem is when no one quite remembers what we agreed to.
No, well,
It'll be in the
no.
video,
You do.
it'll be in the
Speak
minutes.
for
and
yourself.
no-
I am speaking for
I
myself.
remember it was a cap at 3%, but
Right. And it was because we don't have a method of measure.
Merit.
We have no method of measure.
So you should just stick to COLA. Why would you do anything else but that?
Well, then, that was the discretion if there was somebody that.
A superstar?
Yeah.
Well, now you're getting into
Well,
merit, though.
I understand, but
we did bring merit into.
We did, but we're not prepared for merit. That's the problem.
Right.
You can't decide, why, all of a sudden, why'd you give 3%, now you got 1.75 when you have nothing?
Well, you could bring merit into it at such a point as when everybody's evaluated and it doesn't.
But that's been.
You've done that?
Yes.
All right.
So but anyway, we'll go back to the question, and we want to, should we do a maximum cap, or is it the bucket? I mean, 'cause-
it's not budgeted, so we have to. That was, I don't know how we can, we've got enough expenses, we're over on, I say we stay with what we originally said, and that was a max of 3%. No bucket of anything, that was just the way it was.
I have no problem.
That was, but we also did not have a way to measure, regardless of whether analysis has been done. We don't have job descriptions. We have no way of determining if someone is exceeding the expectation, because they don't know what the expectations are. So,
In my experience with merit systems, there's usually a max percentage of that merit. So you get a maximum up to 2.5%, you have a rating system on the review, and based on where you fell on the review, that numbering scheme fell into a parameter on that percentage increase for merit. And then in some situations, for certain management positions, for the exempt positions, there was a bonus pool that was a payment plan. There was a one-time payment for those types of things where somebody went above and beyond. So we kind of went into this backwards in the sense that we said we were going to do a merit increase, but we really, when we said it at that time, whether or not we have done reviews after that or not, we didn't have an idea of what it was and what the system was to be. And my understanding is our reviews are being done, okay? But the question comes in, like I went to one person and said, well, I'm not doing that for the union people, so why would I do it for the non-union people? And so for certain positions, certain department heads may not be willing to do a review for the individual, but we haven't communicated that well enough to the department managers. And so that's why my concern is that for some people, it's just going to be arbitrary because of that. And for other people, there may have been a review done, but based on what, so we're just asking for, I don't want to get into a situation where we take the approach of we had a bucket and we're sharing the bucket, and then we get to later in the year and we find out we didn't have enough money in the bucket. That's my concern.
Well, the bucket would have been defined by 3% times total salaries, and that's your total bucket, and you can't go above that dollar amount. But
But we would need everybody, the thing of it is that if I have this department giving me, their increases, but if it's a total bucket, well, this department may have gone under in their bucket, so this department can go over, but we don't know this department went over, under, and so it's one of those things is trying to go in and make the bucket approach work
But we're not doing the bucket approach.
without having the system in place is very difficult.
We're not going to do the bucket approach. You're right, we're not ready for that. Just not ready for that. So the goal is COLA, we budget 3% for everybody, is that what we
We
decided?
put 3% in for everybody.
The non-union.
Non-union, yeah.
So, what is the question?
The question is, COLA, 1.7 or 3?
This is going on and I'm lost. It seems to me the question is 1 or 2. Do they get COLA, which is 1.75, or do they get 3, right? Since there's no discretion, it's one or the other.
Pretty much.
I don't think you go 3. I mean, because then you're giving out, then in some ways, if you give out 3, if COLA is 175, or 17, whatever the number is, and then you give out 3, now you could be said to have given out something for merit when somebody may not have merited a raise, so I don't
But we've
think.
been doing reviews. The question really, in my mind, is that we have a review, and we have somebody who's making a judgment on what that merit percentage should be.
Well, I think we can just, the question, do we want to do 1.75 or 3, right?
I think we gave direction before. It's up to 3%. To be 1.7 for you came up now, it's 1.7 for,
Whatever it is.
and then the rest is your determination. We left it to you.
Every non-union employee gets this is what I understood. Every non-union employee would get a retroactive raise of, we'll just call it 1.75%, whatever the cost of living index that we picked was, at the discretion of the city manager